Alright, we're back. Alright, so I've got the nv3500 pulled out of my truck. So we're going to start tearing it down. From what I understand, between Dodge, Mopar, or Chevy, it's more or less the same thing. So I'll give you a flip around here and give you a look. So here it is. Fresh out of the truck. I haven't really taken anything off of it yet. So on this, you do have a plug here. There's a spring and plunger there. You will have to take this bolt out. That bolt holds part of your shift finger, I believe that it was. Your reverse backup switch will need to come out. The speedometer sensor, whatever you want to call that, not 100% sure if that actually needs to come out, but we'll probably take it out anyways. Get your output shaft seal there. And then all your bolts that go around here need to come out. It's a good idea to pull your drain plug first and get any fluid out of it. Before you ever pull a drain plug, always make sure you pull your fill plug to make sure you can fill it back up that route. If you know how much exactly goes in it, then if your shifter is off, you can actually put your fluid right down inside here. That's what I actually did. My plug does come out, so I took the plug out, filled the fluid in through the shifter hole, and waited for it just to come out there, and then put the plug back in. It did look like it was leaking around this seal here. It was wet through here, so I'm going to revisit that when I go putting it back together or order parts. I'll probably go ahead and replace this seal here on the output. It's not very old, but it seemed like it might have been leaking as well. And since I took it apart last, and then get stuff moved out of the way here, and then you've got your 6 bolts inside of here. There's no seal here. It just you just put some former gasket on it, but there is a seal inside of here. I think I'm going to go ahead and replace it this time. As you can see inside here, it's wet. Looks like it's been leaking in here. So it doesn't necessarily look like it was leaking where I put the former gasket on it, but it had oil sitting down in here when I pulled it out. You can see how shiny it is. Clean all that stuff up when you put it back together. Clutch material dust will stick to it, otherwise it'll be real dirty if you ever have to take it apart again. You just give everything a quick wipe down before you start. Try and make sure you got somewhat of a clean surface to work on. We're going to start with taking these bolts out. Pull that off. There is a snap ring inside, and then I think we'll be done with this. We'll move on to the next part. I'll get you set up here. Hopefully. Flipped around. I think you'll be able to see for the most part. So these 6 bolts are a 10 mil. So you'll need a 10 millimeter socket. A 1-foot extension really helps out. And then you just pop them all loose. As I said before on the previous video, I think it was just a shift finger that broke. Power tools really help in getting things tore apart faster. Make sure you have a place to put everything. That comes right off, and you can see there's a seal right there. Hopefully you can see it. Set things off to the side. So inside there, right over here, there's a little gap. So I'll grab some snap ring pliers. See, yeah, wrong ones. Is, and they're kind of tight. Set the video camera down. That way you're not moving around so much. We've got different kinds. It doesn't hurt to have different brands. Should have grabbed a screwdriver. Got almost everything else. Unless I'm looking at this wrong. I don't know. We'll come back to that. Probably going to be several things to come back to. So we're going to move to this plug here. Of which, of course, it can be a pain also. Maybe some type of prying apparatus. And a hammer. Definitely should have grabbed a long screwdriver. Not the easiest plug to pull out. A variety of tools really helps out. So what it is, it's like a ball shape that goes in there. There we go. Spring. I'll show you. You see how it's tapered around there. So you got that. The spring goes on top of it. Doesn't matter which way you orient it. And then I use my needle nose pliers, pull that out, and there that is. Put it back. When you go put it back in, shove your spring down in that, put it back in the hole, and then you knock that in. Alright, 13 mil. Go ahead and take out that top bolt. Looks like that. So this piece sits down inside of that shifter finger. Then get the reverse switch out. And 3/8 drive socket just isn't deep enough. It is a 7/8 though. Grab the 1/2 inch. Your drain plug and fill plug takes an Allen, and it's a 17. And they do have thread sealant on the threads. I try to put something back on it to keep it from leaking. I'm going to go ahead and leave the speedometer sensor alone for now. Worry about that later after split the case. Some of this stuff out of the way. I'll work on getting these bolts around out for that. Most of them you can get with just socket and extension. I go through and I like to break them all loose. That way I can come back and get after them with the power tools. Doesn't hurt to take a picture of everything, multiple pictures, if you haven't done it before. That way you know where everything goes. And then you go shoving everything back together. it over a bit. Have some kind of drain pan to catch any fluid that comes out, and some rags for when it leaks on you. I do believe all these bolts are the same size. Lengthwise at least. So there shouldn't be no problem there. That bolt there right in front of your speedometer or reverse backup switch, you may need a swivel on it. Didn't need one this time for myself. Hopefully it comes apart smooth. And there is also a bolt right here. Don't have to worry about taking that out yet. That holds in the, I believe it's called the reverse idler. Same thing with this bolt. They just hold that gear in. Once you get this case split, you can worry about taking those two bolts out, pull all the gears. Now, I'm going to have to take another look at this snap ring. Now it comes out. I was at the wrong one. That's why. So there's a smaller snap ring that goes around the shaft itself. Take it out. And I like to use the ones that's got the bend on it. Try not to spread them apart too far. Just enough. get it over and out. It does not look to be tapered or have any reason for it to only go one direction. So shouldn't have to worry about that. So your shaft should come out through now. That other snap ring, I believe it just holds the bearing to the case. So probably gonna get a little noisy. Kind of want to set you guys away from the transmission. If you have a rubber mallet, that would probably be a good time to grab it. I don't. It is starting to separate. There's a little piece that I broke off. Not important. I can always take a die grinder to that, clean it up. Nobody will ever know. Set for you guys. Alright. You can lightly pry on the case. There's a couple dowel pins in it. One here. You got one on the other side. If you're using something to pry it apart, be careful. Try not to scrape it, tear it up. You don't want to mar up the surface. Because then it may not seal and you'll have a terrible leak. There we go. Try to have a place to set things. When you pull the front half of the case off, look for bits and pieces where things may have broken. Do an inspection, and exactly what I thought was broke is broke again. But it doesn't explain these little teeth looking pieces. Almost going to say they're probably off one of the synchronizers. So I may have to buy a synchronizer. Keep yourself a squeegee and a bucket to squeegee stuff in. Because there's still going to be fluid in there. flipped around here again. So the one bolt, this in here that went through the top of the case, fits in right there. This is part of your shift finger. So it holds this piece in one spot when your shifter back there is moving things. And lift that up. And what's not supposed to happen, not supposed to be able to pull that right out. That is part of this inside piece right there. It's got that little lip. So this was a brand new piece. Just put this just changed it last month. So broke again. Transmission is not built for drag racing. That's what changes all your gears. Drain plug there also had some debris. I don't know if we're gonna see. I'll turn this. So these are your synchronizers. Couple of them at least. I'm not seeing any missing teeth on those ones. But to fully inspect it, set up here again. You cannot pull all this stuff out separately. This whole assembly comes out together. If you don't have somebody helping you, you might want somebody helping you. Where the shift knob is up here. Turn it there. It's right in the center. And there is a roll pin. You do have to knock that out. You don't have to knock it out all the way, just enough to where this piece here will slide separately from the arm. That way it can lay down and everything can come out together. We'll go ahead and get everything else removed from the transmission. Speedometer thing. I don't know if everybody calls them sensor, what they call them. For today's purposes, we're calling it a sensor. A little bit of a wiggle and it comes out. I like to put things back the way I found them. Quite dirty in there. Got a lot of metal parts floating around. A lot of metal debris. Something definitely broke. You got that out. You've also got two or three or four bolts right here. Those hold in a retainer plate. You have to remove those. I believe they're also a 13. Yep. Pretty much 13 mil and a 10 takes everything out. Makes it nice when there's not 5 different size bolts. In this scenario, I'll either use a swivel or a wrench. Hopefully that light isn't too bad on you. That way we can all see. So the bolts I just took out versus the bolts that holds the 2 halves of the case. Same length, same threads. Don't have to worry about getting those mixed up. It said transmission not built for drag racing. I've driven it down the road a couple of times. No problems. Just all the extra stickiness you get at the track. Really hard on it. Getting all the extra traction. So I made on my 4th pass, it broke. Alright, that one loose. Use the swivel on my socket. If you take this out last, so the retainer plate that is inside the transmission, it moves. The only thing holding it in place is the 3 bolts. So, here, how well you can see inside there. You can see the plate there move. So, get these other 2 bolts out. Don't need the swivel anymore. Really don't need the long extension either, but I got it. It's on the socket. Might as well use it. This bolt here is longer than the rest. It goes up here. and then that and this shorter. At the very least, if you just document what you do, you can figure out how to put it back together. Again, take plenty of pictures if you've never done it. Alright, everything should slide out. Well, almost forgot, gotta get that roll pin out. I still have a drill bit that I used last time. You may not want to get up first. And once it starts going, keep checking it. Don't need to pop it out all the way, like I said. It's not going to hurt anything if you do. And there we go. So, let me show you here. So, we got the roll pin knocked out. See it right there. And it just goes into a hole there. All you gotta do is, once all this comes out, you can knock that roll pin out the rest of the way. And then when you're putting it back together, drive it back down through the top. You got to put this part in with everything, or if you've got 2 or 3 people helping you as you're sliding everything in, you can possibly put it in then. So set up here again. Myself, if you put it on its side, in my opinion, it seems to help. So that big long bolt that went through here goes through this piece and then screws into there. And then the shorter one also screws into this shaft, just on the back side. Give the out shaft a couple taps. If you want, you can throw some zip ties on it, hold everything together. As it all comes apart. So here's that floating plate in there retains things together. That has the 3 bolts holding it. Wear gloves if you want, or have some towels handy. There's your reverse idler gear. So it's got like this spacer washer that points towards this side. So when it goes back together, it'll be about there. All those gears, they look fine. You've also got a bearing here. This bearing goes in the other side of the case. There's also a bearing back here for the reverse gear. You get your jaws. Those all look fine. So you can take that and pull it off. Remember your orientation of this. So flat side to the back side. Try to leave everything together until you got to put it back, or yeah, leave it together when you take it apart. Put it back together, whatever. Check everything. Assume you can see what I'm doing. No broken pieces there, and right there we got some broken spots. I was not expecting that originally. Pull that out the rest of the way. Case. Don't just flip it, you still got the bearing in there. I'm just going to slide it out of the way. Turn your back around. That way I can be sure we're both seeing the same thing. So take, so right here you see how you have the teeth that go around, and then there is no teeth on the one side. So when you go to pull these off, there's also going to be another spring and a little pin in there, or not pin but ball. Difficult to get those back together. Try not to bend your spring. I'm not going to go through and show you the whole process of pulling this apart or putting it back together. I'm just going to go ahead and order parts, and then when they come in, I'll reassemble it and hope that it works. And this transmission is not going to go back drag racing again. The second time it broke. Got me the first time, going to get me the second time, it's going to do it again. So somehow I got to come up with some money, looking around a T56 Magnum. Hopefully I can get one of those, stick in the truck, and then it'll hold the horsepower. If you're going to be racing your vehicle, get a racing setup. Make sure the stuff you use is going to last. Make it stronger every time you build it, every time you break it. Just keep building it back. It gets expensive. Good luck. We'll see you guys on the next one.